Okay, hang on, I'm gonna let one more person in. That would be my boss.
In accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, hereby, notice is hereby given that the Zoning Board of Appeals is meeting tonight, Wednesday, February 18th, 2026, 7 p.m. Town Hall meeting room 124. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in person at 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Mass., or by the remote Zoom connection provided. Please note that the in-person meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technical problems interrupt the remote connection. Thank you all. It is 7:02. We have a 7 o'clock. The applicants requested to continue the public hearing to March 18th, 2026. All in favor, say aye.
Well, I make a motion.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
go
make the
ahead.
motion that we take this, continue the Pond Street Solar Project, continue the hearing to March 18th, 2026 at 7 p.m.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Roll
Oh,
call.
we need to take a roll
Aye,
call.
Joe Sebastiano.
Chris Metcalf, aye.
David Axberg, aye.
Tim Martin, aye.
Josephine Kadahi, aye.
All right. We have until 7:15.
We have the minutes.
So we can do some tidying up of items. We can do some tidying up of items until that.
Yeah, I reviewed the minutes. I told,
We have these articles too.
right, we have to do this.
You can do let's do the minutes first.
Yeah, well, everybody had a chance to read the minutes?
I did.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions or anything on it?
All right, I'll make a motion, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes approve the minutes for meeting of January 21st, 2026.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
All in favor, roll call.
Aye, Joe Sebastiano.
Chris Metcalf, aye.
David Axberg, aye.
Tim Martin, aye.
Josephine Kadahi, aye.
Thank you all. The planning board is going to be putting forth some amendments in the town meeting. Did we all take a look at those? Anybody have any questions on those?
I haven't read them yet.
You haven't read them yet?
No.
Okay. It's realistically talking about the B1 district, and they're changing some of the wording to allow it to be a little bit more forgiving, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I see the
That's,
Richard, do you have?
look at it.
Rich, you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, no, you're on point.
Okay.
The idea is to be a little more flexible, because you probably know not every site has a little unique characteristic to it, so.
It also looks like the lot and building requirements, they put towards the planning board instead of us, which is nice. Take something else off of our plate on the third plate.
Well, they're
That's
just
it.
looking to change it.
Yeah, they're
right?
just changing it from
Right.
being a matter of zone to a planning board scenario.
But the appeal would still come to us.
Yeah, the appeal would still go to you.
Correct.
I mean, they're the right board for that.
They are the right board for that, I think.
Yeah, that's how it is in a lot of,
Yeah.
Let's see what those come to the town meeting, right?
Yes, it comes before the town meeting because it's a change of the...
Right.
Rich, was there anything that drove this specifically, or was it just a general comment?
No, it actually is, started off back in, it's about 5 years ago now, when we looked at the B1 zoning change for, there were some changes that were made at the time, but not all the changes were made that were recommended. And since that time, some of the things have kind of significantly been impacted, particularly around, COVID and what it takes to, lease up property. That was one of the larger drivers in terms of still requiring commercial, but make it to increase some flexibility so that way somebody can realistically lease stuff up and not have vacant space. And then also in terms of some of the flexibility, so for instance, some of the properties that are in the center of town, some already have buildings on them, and it creates some flexibility in terms of for multiple buildings on one lot, whereby somebody could take advantage of the commercial that's there now and add some residential to it.
Some mixed-use availability,
Yeah.
which is desperately needed.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was considered about looking at different properties to allow for, you could actually have residential on the first floor where it made sense to the backside, so not necessarily on the street side, but to the side and the rear, depending upon
Elevation,
how the property lays out.
correct.
Yeah,
Like in the center, underneath the back of,
Yeah,
across the street.
yeah, exactly.
You could be facing the T and you could have, they could be dwelling units underneath. I agree.
yeah.
It's not facing the store, it's not facing the main
Right.
street. It's facing the rear and side.
And it'd be a special permit.
So,
for
Rich, can you
planning
tell me what's changing in the sign regulation regarding it?
Shouldn't be anything changing with the sign regulation.
It says all sign and advertising devices in B1 shall be subject to. So is that a change, or is that,
There shouldn't be any changes to the, I don't have it in front of me, there shouldn't be any changes to the signage.
That's existing.
That would not,
It's
Okay.
existing.
okay.
Now, the only changes they're proposing are in bold text and strike through.
Yeah, I saw the strike through. Okay.
Well, it seems to offer some flexibility and yet safeguards for planning purposes and so forth, so it seems desperately needed.
And that would be by
This
special.
might free up a little bit of freedom by the planning board in order to get some developers in without having to do some of the state pushes, correct? In other words,
Yeah, so this-
this could
yeah,
be,
this is not, sorry.
right? I mean, that's what I read it as, that it just makes it a little bit more user-friendly to the developers, so that they can push toward maybe getting this instead of having to do it.
Yeah, the intent is to create some flexibility for a developer, but then also, a property owner might want to do development too.
Right, right.
Either scenario, but still we have mixed use
Dependent text.
requirement as opposed to like the MBTA, which, you don't have to do mixed use.
I think it's a good
So
thing.
we're preserving the opportunity for mixed use.
Okay. All right. Super. Thank you, Rich. Anybody have any questions on the amendments?
I only have a comment.
Okay.
The phrasing on, let's see here, 310, section 9.3A1. I feel like it needs another comma. It's just kind of awkward phrasing to say, no building footprint shall exceed 15,000 square feet except by special permit, maybe up to 30,000 square feet from the planning board. We've got, just clunky, that's all. I understand what it's trying to say. I'm just saying that it could be written a little bit more clearly. That's only a comment. It's kind of neither here nor there, but either move the planning board, except by planning, by special permit from the planning board, maybe up to 30,000 square feet.
Okay.
the clause, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it is a little.
Grammatically, it's a little odd.
Yeah, it is
And
odd.
so it doesn't change the meaning necessarily, it just makes it harder to read. And I just had one question, which is why, just kind of the exclusion on assisted living facilities, but then at the same time, it really doesn't make a difference whether it's 16 or 20 units an acre. When you're talking beds instead of actual units, this metric doesn't work. But I do think on a broader kind of level, it sucks that we put all of our assisted living facilities in industrial areas, and I think it'd be better for older people to be able to walk around somewhere. So it's just a thought. Just a thought. Some people like to be part of a community instead of live out in an industrial district.
Oh,
Teach
yeah.
their own.
It should be within walking distance
Yeah.
of the downtown.
But that's a longer conversation about changing how assisted living facility is, like the density on that is calculated, which is not, I think, what the planning board is getting into at this moment in time. So we'll shelve that, but I was just wondering if there is a broader policy sort of thing where we're anti. But otherwise, assisted living is good for a downtown. It has a lot of employees, brings a lot of visitors, and people go for walks. And they pay taxes.
True. Can't disagree.
No kids in the school.
Let's move on to new old business. We have a couple of housekeeping things that we need to do, and because some of these developments are completed and they have some outstanding dollars and cents on their bonds, and we should probably release them.
Yeah. We asked Rich if they were, because they're all completed, is that why they were on this?
Richard, these are all on here because they are complete, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So DPW is all set with them.
DPW's all okay, everybody's
Everyone
fine?
signed off.
We've
The
got,
Enclave, well, I should start from the top, I guess.
yeah, Meeting House.
Please.
Yeah, Meeting House has been accepted for quite a few years now. I'd probably want to say at least 3.
Yep.
Okay.
Lakeland Farms, you gave it a clean bill of health, I want to say 2-3 years ago, maybe.
At least 2.
And then the Enclave was completed, accepted last spring, the 25.
Okay.
So is that not held for a year?
Yeah,
No, you can release it, no.
Oh, well, I would.
I don't know. I know
There was road work
there
done,
was some
right?
road work done, but I think it was it complete?
If it was only complete less than a year.
Yeah, it was
typically I would
completed, I
hold
think
it.
in September, if I remember correctly.
Hold that one till the end of winter.
Please.
So this is actually review money, it's not actually.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, it's just review money,
It's
okay.
extra plan
Is this-
review money.
is this
that-
43G money?
Correct, it's 50.
Oh, yeah, send it back.
Yeah, give it back.
Okay.
All right.
Can we do it, we should do each one individually.
Go ahead.
Vote to release.
And you
the-
have to roll call.
Yep.
Okay.
So let's vote to release the first one.
Yeah, I vote to release the 1,046 and 54 cents from the Meeting House Village LLC review account back to the developer.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye. Roll call.
I, Joe Sebastiano.
You gotta unmute, Chris. Aye, David Axberg.
Tim Martin, aye.
Chris Metcalf, aye.
Josephine Kordahi, aye.
All right.
Okay.
Next one.
Yeah, vote to release $460.40 from the Lakeland Farms LLC review account back to the developer.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor, let's say aye by roll call.
I, Joe Sebastiano.
Chris Metcalf, aye.
David Axberg, aye.
Tim Martin, aye.
Josephine Kordahi, aye.
And the last one.
I vote to release the $3,224.92 from the Enclave review account back to the developer.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye,
Roll call.
Aye, Joe Sebastiano.
Chris Metcalf, aye.
David Axberg, aye.
Tim Martin, aye.
Josephine Kordahay, aye.
Thank you very much. All right, now it looks like we're at 7:15.
We have a hearing
We have
notice.
a hearing.
Yeah, so in accordance with the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 8 and 15, and the Town of Norfolk zoning bylaws, the Norfolk Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a hearing on February 18th, 2026 at 7:15 PM at Town Hall Meeting Room 124, tacked on the petition of Luana Reepitz. The petitioner is requesting an appeal from the order of the building commissioner, zoning enforcement officer, that the subject property, 25 King Street, Norfolk, map 12, block 62, lot 211, is to cease and desist from using the property as a short-term rental.
Okay, let's open the hearing. Luana, is that you? Okay. Yeah, please, if you stand there, you can use the microphone that's on the table. It'll pick you up. You don't have to move it too much. If you walk around or if anybody else needs to speak, they need to use one of the other mics. Okay?
All right.
Thank you. We will hear what you have to say and pass out whatever you need to pass out.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Luana Abreu Vibrant, and I'm the owner of 25 King Street. I'm here tonight because I believe the cease and desist order issued against my property is legally flawed and ignores the town's own public admissions regarding our zoning bylaws. My home is used for residential purpose. Whether a guest stays for 2 nights or 2 months, the activity inside the home is the same. They sleep, they eat, they gather as a family, and they respect the neighborhood. I do not run a hotel. Under Massachusetts law, silencing a zoning code does not automatically grant the building commissioner the power to ban a use. If the bylaw doesn't prohibit it, and the use is residential in nature, the homeowner has the right to proceed. Before I conclude, I would like to exercise my right to ask a few clarifying questions through the Mr. Chair to the building commissioner and the town planner, if it is possible, so we can clarify the record.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Chair, can the commissioner,
Who do you want to ask first? Or to both?
building commissioner?
The building commissioner? Okay, go ahead. You can ask him. He'll need to get a microphone, but
Kind of ask him through you.
She has to
yeah,
ask.
she asked, you're going to ask me the question, but
Mr. Chair, can the building commissioner point to the specific section and paragraph of the Norfolk zoning bylaws where the term short-term rental is defined?
go ahead.
So as zoning enforcement officer, I am bound to apply the zoning bylaws of the town of Norfolk uniformly. We have what's called an enumerated use, which defines uses that are allowed in town, not prohibited. And under Article 4 of the town bylaws, Section 4.1B, any use not specifically enumerated in a district herein shall be deemed prohibited. Short-term rentals, transient homes, vacation rentals, anything of that nature or definition is not defined in our use charts, so therefore it is prohibited. That was the way that I determined the ruling.
Okay. Do you?
Mr. Chairman, can the building commissioner clarify if it is the town's position that the silence equals a total prohibition?
Yes. I will let him speak, and then we can say.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
I mean, it's pretty clear as far as I interpret, and town council, when we issued the cease and desist order letters to the residents that received them, town council agreed that, again, under Article 4.1B, anything not specifically enumerated in our bylaws is prohibited. Short-term rentals fall under that category. We do not have any definition. We do have a bylaw for use of rooms to rent, but when we pulled up the listings on Airbnb, the listing on Airbnb and VRBO, 25 King Street was listed as a residential short-term rental, not room rental. So that's how we reviewed it. We confirmed with town council, town administrator, and that's why we sent the letters.
Okay. Do you have any follow-up to that?
Yes. If the silence means prohibition, can the building commissioner point to where long-term rental or traditional lease or any other yearly lease is explicitly listed as a permitted use according to our bylaws?
So is there anywhere within our bylaws, does it say that long-term leases are allowed?
So we've reviewed that question recently as well. The definition of long-term leasing, there's no terminology within the bylaws. Under Mass General Laws, section, I believe it's 64, dictates a short-term rental for taxation purposes in Massachusetts is less than 31 days. So, but we do not have an actual long-term definition. So I don't have an answer for that. We don't have an actual definition for long-term lease. A long-term lease for us.
I have an answer for that. That answer is found in Mass General Law 40A. We don't regulate the interior of structures under zoning. When you get into leasing and rental, the occupancy of the unit is not our business, and it's impermissible under state law to regulate under zoning whether or not something may be used for rental or for ownership housing. Now, if we wanted to do something in our bylaws, such as define short-term rental as a use and then classify it where it would be allowed, that would be something that we could regulate. If we wanted adopt a general bylaw that regulated short-term rental, more generally speaking, that's usually operational characteristics, registration characteristics, and things of that nature. That would also be permissible. When it is my client, I recommend they go the general bylaw route, charge a fee that is sufficient for software that monitors, that also deals with any disturbances so that there's a third-party number that is the interface between the owner and the local police. There are several vendors for that software, but basically you make the program pay for itself. The other thing I say is the Board of Selectmen should adopt the local option to collect taxation on it, because it is rooms tax at that rate. And as long as they're registered with DOR, state law, not DOER, but Department of Revenue. State law is fairly clear on this particular issue, both as a impermissible regulation of the interior structure and also short-term rental, not as a use, but as a tax structure and as a occupancy. They are not equivalent under state law. And so unless we do regulate this better, she's correct as far as I'm concerned, because our zoning bylaws do not regulate this. We do not have a general bylaw. And while there are other codes that may speak to this in a different way, the tenure for how this is rented is not our business, whether it is a 3-month lease, whether it is a 6-month lease, whether it is a 9-month lease. Nobody is doing bed checks. And so while there is monitoring services, VRBO, Airbnb, they'll monitor like 900 other sites. And this is something the town should think about with the World Cup coming up. We do not have a leg to stand on. State law is clear on this. There's ample case law on this specific issue. Respectfully.
I'm gonna go.
Hold on. So your take on it is that because it's not written in here, it's not allowed. under your purview.
Correct. And just to add one thing to the last point, in regards to the overall use of the house, a bona fide residency tenancy, something that would be, I could rent under a landlord agreement with somebody, is something that we could look at from a long-term lease. If we're talking about from a general characteristical use of a 31-day rental or better, but it's constantly being reutilized and advertised as a rental.
And if we defined it and had policy on that, that would be one thing, but we don't. We don't have anything that says like number of days or...
Talk through me.
Yeah.
And ask for permission.
But it is true that we
And
don't
ask
have
for
that.
permission.
He's not wrong, but we don't have it.
Correct.
That's the way to do it, but we don't have it. We
let's-
can't do it by
let's-
policy.
Let's hold off.
So from a characteristic standpoint, if you have, again, a repeat, a resident that is fully furnished, and they are repeating the process of rental at a 31 or 32-day rate, and they're just flipping it each month, that can fit the definition of, still can fit the characteristics of transient lodging, because it fits the definition of what a hotel essentially would be, long-term rental for like a, the Rental Americas or the long-term tenured hotel type transient lodging. So it can still, it's still a gray area. We're still trying to figure that out.
I will say this. I had a rental unit in Foxborough that was rented by the Revolution. The Revolution rented it, but I had, in any course of a year, 7 to 8 different people that went in and out and lived there. So in reality, I had one leaser, but I had many different tenants, if you want to call it that, or residents. Occupants, which, in one sense, somebody could have viewed as being short-term rentals because they saw different people there every other month. But it wasn't. It was a one lease, one person. So there are different definitions. I believe, from my understanding of the zoning bylaws, there were things left out of the zoning bylaws because there were freedoms that were to be allowed to homeowners. That because we hadn't really gone down this road, and because the bylaws are somewhat older and haven't necessarily transformed as much as Airbnb is relatively a new sensation. It's not old by any stretch of the imagination. There have been opportunities for people to rent things, and so we're coming into new ground. I don't believe this has been enforced in Norfolk before, if I have heard, because I've never heard of it before being enforced. I know of several homes that are being done, rented on short-term bases. So, Mike?
Can I get my, so I have some questions for you directly. So this is listed through the Mass short-term rental site. To get to the Mass short-term rental site, you have to fill out an application. That application includes that you invite the building inspector, the fire chief, through the residents to show them fire extinguishers, to show them safety maps of how to get out of the house, to have the possibility of sprinklers installed because you're not the primary family living there. You're renting it without occupying it. So I'd like to see the application you sent to the state to get your approval, and how did you get the building commissioner's approval and the fire chief's approval to send that notification into the state when he didn't realize that this was a short-term rental? Because it's very spelled out in the requirements. Any research you do online, it's spelled out everywhere that you need to first talk to the building and zoning official in that town and see what the regulations are before you go any further. And to get to the level that you have a state license, I would like to see the application for that and where you provided the proof that you had the building inspector and the fire chief walk that, to see that material.
I'm sorry, but I think, have you ever saw this application before? Because there is no requirement, they do not request anything for us to submit from the building commissioner or anything. I did that personally, so I know. And I would, of course, I would do that. I would go through that process if I had to, but I didn't have to.
I think it's a
Pretty
question.
spelled out.
And also,
Show the room tax.
I'm sorry.
And you have to show, there's a specific list of documents that you have to show to get on the list to be a short-term rental in the state of Massachusetts, which you are on the list.
Yeah, I'm
checked
sorry,
it
but I
today.
think we are discussing about the use. So if we have to go further, I'm willing to, but here we are discussing about the use. Whether short-term rentals are specifically in the bylaws or not.
Right.
And if I am doing this illegal or not, but considering that the bylaws, they don't have anything explicitly, and also they don't have anything like long-term, so I think I'm doing this legally.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, to the appellant, it's a well-drafted memo. It talks about a lot of issues of law. What it doesn't, just to help me out, just factually the background, the only factual statement I can find, I think, is the appellants established their short-term residential use in March of 2024. Can you just give me the background story of how we got here today?
Yeah.
From the facts?
So basically, I started in March 2024.
Yeah.
And I believe last year, the town started discussing about short-term rentals regarding to ADUs, not to the principal dwelling. And I received a cease and desist letter, and I was really surprised that.
So if I could interrupt, so in March of 2024, you entered into a short-term arrangement.
Correct. Correct.
Just so I know the facts.
Yeah, correct. And then I received around January something.
Of this year.
This year, yes. So 2 years later.
2 years later.
Yeah,
Okay.
I received a cease and desist letter saying that that what I was doing was illegal, and there were no such. When I saw it, I was like, where is the citation of the bylaws?
So had you had turnover during the 2 years, or the same occupants throughout?
Have you had a
Since
lot
March
of
of
tenants?
2024,
Not a lot, not a lot.
There were several, or one?
It's been operating.
Yeah, not a lot.
It's been operating as a short-term rental.
So
And it's.
I'm just trying to understand the facts.
It's my residence.
Yeah.
The point is, this is my residence.
Yeah.
So it's not just short-term rental, and this is an accessory to my home. So I can use that on that way.
So when you leave town, you rent it out on Airbnb?
Correct.
Okay.
So when you're
Okay,
gone.
so then you get the cease and desist in this year. So it's been going on for about 2 years, you get a cease and desist this year for the first time, and there were no other complaints or anything?
And also, I submitted that many of my guests are more than a month. So the point is, they're saying that the use, if it is 31 days, it's allowed. If it is 30 days or less, like 29 days, is not allowed. And I had a family, I cannot say more about it because they are with the federal government, but they stayed there, and actually the town taxed them even for the 29 days. So the town understood that they were residents. So we cannot have both ways. One, you get their money, and then you say, no, they are transient. You cannot say that.
Car DOR, maybe?
She pays
How
through
did they-
DO,
how
well,
did they get
because
taxed?
anything on the platform is generally
Yeah, but
part of their
Airbnb-
agreement going to handle it for you.
But they-
Sometimes they don't.
But they didn't pay, like, motor vehicle road tax, or they
They
didn't
don't pay
they didn't
excise tax
pay
because,
property tax, they didn't pay tax to the,
no, they pay that in their own communities where they principally reside. But this is not functionally different than, let's say, it's not like functionally different than house lot. But I have a question.
You said you had a question for.
Yeah.
the-
I was wondering if this came to the building commissioner's attention via complaint or via sweep? Like if you were looking for anything registered or if you got a neighbor complaint?
So, as I understand it, there's a major event coming in the next few months in the town next door, and we've started fielding numerous phone calls and emails from local reporters and news media outlets asking on this question whether or not the town allows short-term rentals.
So how did we get from that to her?
Go for World Cup soccer.
Once the phone calls started coming in, before I acted on anything, we reviewed the bylaws. I confirmed with Mike Gallagher, the interim town manager, back in December. We had conversations, we checked in with town council, and everybody was in agreement that we do not have a defined use of a short-term rental in our bylaws, and under 4.1B, it is not enumerated, therefore it is prohibited. Everybody was in agreement on that. We decided to draft a letter. We created a template. We
Was it a
allowed the
sweep or was
template.
it just a
there's more
complaint?
than
How-
one, there's more than one.
I'm just trying to hear the story, like what
Yeah.
happened? Like how
Once-
did she get here today?
Once we drafted the template, I started looking on the public forums of Airbnb and VRBO, found the homes that were listed within Norfolk. Now, as if you're not aware of how Airbnb works, it just drops a pin relatively close to the property. Pictures are usually included. We were able to tie those pictures with properties associated in our GIS system. And then we were able to get the names of the owners and the actual addresses. And that's how the letters were sent out. We sent out 5
So
letters
there
to
were
them.
multiple letters sent out to different to different addresses?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
There was more than one letter sent, not just to this lady, but to...
More residents affected by this. She's not the
There were
only
more
one.
properties affected by this.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I need one person.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can you ask him how many people he found, how many listings he found?
Yeah, how many listings how many were notified that they
We
needed
sent
to
out
see?
a total of 5 letters.
5. Okay.
So, just one thing. I requested a public record, and I found out that which one, this is what I'm looking to submit, and there were only 4 letters, including mine. And we have in total here in Norfolk, 12 listings.
I found 10, so yeah.
Yeah, we have 12, and I can submit the evidence. So this is selective enforcement. It's arbitrary. I think this is something we need to keep in mind.
Yes. You can pass those out.
So those
Yes, Richard, go ahead.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, no.
So we've had previous complaints about Airbnb in the town of Norfolk, whereby the previous building commissioner who retired worked with a property owner to have that ceased. And to this specific property, there were previous complaints about this property as well to the building department. There was nothing in writing. They were oral complaints that were done about this property. So we don't have a record for which we can produce about this 25 King Street being private previous complaints. Perhaps the abutters who make complaints to the building department before are here this evening to speak to that. As David mentioned, the World Cup has come to Foxborough, and the residents are inquiring about whether they can rent their properties under the short-term Airbnb opportunities. As mentioned, David, that is not specifically anything not enumerated in the use table, is not specifically is deemed prohibited. And we worked with town council to look at other communities with similar languages in their bylaw. And other enforcement that were taken, that they were denied Airbnb of the property, even though it wasn't specifically enumerated in there or not. For instance, one town, Linfield is an example, one I think is referenced in the letter he provided you, whereby they went and then took action down later in terms of prohibiting Airbnbs. This by no means was selective. From our point of view, we did see on the state website there is 10. You do not list the specific addresses, so we would have to, myself would work with David, depending on how this ruling comes about, would have to seek those properties and send out letters as well.
This is why you get the software that does the big sweeps, because people take properties online and offline all the time, so it changes.
Yeah, when I quickly looked, I found 10.
Yeah, it's
so.
quick. There's one on Seacon.
Yeah, I know.
On Stop River.
Yeah, I noticed that. So,
The other thing, though, is that if somebody rents their house out for World Cup, it's one weekend, right? 1 week, it's a one-off.
No,
It's like
months.
It's months.
They're here for months?
Months. Yeah, there's teams that come in from all over.
I thought it was just gonna be like a weekend.
No.
Why do you
So it's
think
gonna be like Taylor Swift for like 3 months?
6 weeks, I think, at least.
Just
6
short of
weeks?
30
Okay.
days.
Crap, no way.
But I think there's, practice times and everything else, so I think it goes forward and
Players are
backwards.
going to want to come here with their families.
Yep.
They're going to want.
So,
Yeah, but then all the people who live in their houses have to go somewhere else.
Right, and it's not for a week.
Yeah, for 6 weeks. That kind of is self-enforcing. How many of us got 6 weeks where we can go I want to find 6 weeks to go somewhere else.
well, if I could leave for 6 weeks, somebody could take care of the cows and the chickens and everything else, it'd be great. No.
You could rent that as an experience.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
It's back.
let's I hear what you're having to say, and I am somewhat sympathetic to what you're saying, only because I do believe zoning bylaws should be easily understood and easily distinguished as to what's going on and how it needs to be. I would have read through here, not seeing anything, would have said, yeah, I think this is perfectly fine. But being the individual I am, I probably would have called and found out if I could do it, first and foremost. And instead of taking the road that most people do is they'll ask for forgiveness instead of permission prior to. So, and that's kind of where we're at today, is you've done it, you've been doing it, and want to continue to do it. And we need to determine whether that's allowable from what, because it's not written, there's a little caveat in there of pretty much a sentence that says, if it's not written in here, it's not allowed.
Closer to this.
But as you showed, long-term leases aren't allowed either because they're not written in here. So
well, they're there, but
we as a board have to kind of come through and try and figure out what we need to do and how we can do that.
I'm going with the principle.
I would say, let us talk about it. We'll get right back to you pretty quick, but we're going to have to discuss this because I think there's.
We need to hear from the neighbors.
Yeah, we're going to, but I just want you to know that this is not an easy subject, because I know people that are doing it, and it's been helpful for them to do it, and it's been able to keep some family homes instead of getting rid of them.
And maybe I can help you with something else. The Norfolk SJC already decided in City of Quincy versus Leo supporting my position. So maybe you can take a look into it, and
Yeah.
this is something really good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. We have,
Before you open up to the audience, I would just ask that the hearing, because I'd like to do some more research myself.
I
There's a
agree.
lot of, as
yeah.
opposed to closing it and then deliberating.
100%.
Thank you.
we're not going to close this tonight.
No.
So we'll keep it open at least until March. So
I think we have her here under the wrong use. She's closer to a lodging house use because the principal occupancy that she actually retains of the structure. She's going to be closer to the renting of rooms to not more than 4 persons and furnishing table board to not 5 persons, which is an allowed use.
But she's not there when she rents it.
This
And
doesn't
that is
say
about-
that you
That is
have-
about you giving someone a room in your house and providing them.
I have a little experience with this.
Yeah.
Is there any common shared area that you have between, like, where you rent and, or is it just the house?
It's one dwelling.
it's just one dwelling.
One dwelling unit. It's not a dwelling unit with an ADU. It's
there-
one dwelling unit.
Is there a room that is locked up exclusively for use when somebody comes to rent?
The basement.
They have access to the entire
No,
house?
the basement, they do not have access to the basement.
So your question would
So
be...
she's retaining residency while they're not there.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Residential uses, it's like halfway down.
I got it.
That's,
All right. Homeowners have any questions? Please, you have to take a microphone, state your name and address.
We'll hear from renters too.
Yeah, anybody. Resident.
Unhoused, we don't care.
Okay. We're going to go here in the audience first.
So, sure, thank you. My name is Stacy Siselsky. I live 2 doors down from number 25, and I just want to comment on a couple of things that I really disagree with the homeowner's account. So, there is very frequent turnover. There is, from one day to the next, 6, 8 cars in the driveway, parties into the night, and then the house looks abandoned for 2 or 3 days. And then 3 or 4 cars come back, it's party central, and then it's vacant for another couple of days. This is constant and ongoing, loud and disruptive. There is zero respect for the culture of the neighborhood and it being a school zone.
Mr. Chairman, can you ask her how is she tracking this movement?
because she lives there.
Can we ask if they call the
blocks,
police?
Right,
The police is the tracking system.
Have the police ever been called that you know of?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Zero-
So we
zero
don't have a
police reports.
tracking system on that.
And it's not your responsibility as the resident to have one.
But we have our
Let's ask Dave.
testimony.
We do have our testimony, which is
Let's ask
allowed.
Dave.
Dave, have you heard anything about?
I was informed by the folks in the office that there was at least one police report made on this particular property. I did not do a public records request on this. It was relayed up to the town administrator's assistant, and I was under the impression that was going to be handled and forwarded over to the
Was that
homeowner. The homeowner would take
recently,
that.
a long time ago? Because
I have no idea
You have no idea.
when it occurred. I
Mr.
don't-
Chairman, I have the
Okay, you know.
record and the zero police report. I went to the police and I asked if there is any call log, and they said there was one instance. It was the Eddie Foley. He is from the 26 King Street, not even close to my house. And he's diagnosed.
He's directly
Okay.
across the street.
Okay,
Anyway,
that's okay. Ed, Wyatt from the peanut gallery, please.
Please.
zero police reports because the police went there and no police reports. So we are against the findings of 2 police officers.
Okay.
Can I ask 2 questions?
No, we're going to continue in the audience first. More in the audience?
Hi, Susan Haggerty at 20 King Street. I would agree 100% with you. There are cars there all day, coming and going and coming and going and coming and going. gone during the day and they're back at night. I'm wondering, I've never seen this woman before. I've lived on 20 King Street for 35 years. I've never seen this woman at the house. I thought it was owned by a gentleman. I've never seen this woman that she says that she lives there. And my husband's retired, I'm semi-retired. We've never seen her in this house. To say that she's renting to families, she said that initially in her statement, that the families that stay there are being respectful. I've never seen any children in the house either. There are no families there. It is like a boarding house. There are men in this house coming and going all day long. I'm wondering how many bedrooms she has in the house, so that she said they don't have access to the basement, but I believe there were bedrooms in the basement. So I'm questioning whether she's renting those rooms as well too. And I do wonder how often she's living there. How much, it's none of my business, but how much is she traveling? How much is she gone? How much is she says she lives there. I don't think it's true. I don't think it's right.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to take this like, and has anyone ever knocked my door or say, oh, hi, I'm your neighbor or anything? No, never. So they cannot say anything like that. I'm not there, she's not there. It's my house, it's my residence. So if she doesn't see me there, it doesn't mean that it's not my residence, that is not my domicile. And she's saying, oh, it's someone else.
Okay, let's
Yeah,
go to the next one and see what else we have.
Hi, my name is Angela Magnuson. I live at 24 King Street with my husband Rob and 2 small children. We are directly facing 25 King Street. And as my kids have grown up, they're 5 and 7 right now, so I'm keenly aware of new people in the neighborhood. And I agree with both the neighbours that have already spoken. We have clear view to the driveway into the house. I have gone to the house. I have tried to, as there was a family I did see one time, so I went over with my kids themselves, and she's like, no, the person just said, oh no, we're renting, it's Airbnb. I like my neighbour here. This is the first time I've seen this woman tonight. My mum also lives with us about 4 months out of the year, and she will sit and look out the window. So she sees things. Anyway, just the point I'm trying to make, laboriously, is that we're quite keenly aware of the activity in the house, and especially when there are work crews there. It's all single men that are staying there. So I get a little bit nervous just because you don't know who they are. And there are usually 8+ work trucks, and the guys will hang in their work trucks, I assume just to get a bit of personal space because it's not a big home. Anyway, I agree with our neighbours that it's not long-term rentals, it's frequent turnaround. And not a residence of this person. And just before, in case you want to add anything, I did see we have another neighbour on Zoom, and I saw their hand up for a while, and then it went back down. That's all.
Yep.
Thank you.
Will do. Online, do we have anybody else that wanted to say something? Yep, go ahead.
This is Jason Bollander. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Jason.
We're at 27 King Street. We're currently, this is my wife, Catherine. We're on vacation, but we thought this was important enough to log in. We would like to confirm most of what our neighbors are seeing. Yes, there's families coming in and out. I would say that our neighbors that moved in for a short while, rehabbed the house, and then essentially moved back out is confirmed. They do not live there. There's several families that come in and out, as you would expect with any VRBO or any of these new modern apps. None of what we're saying is lies, and I do understand their position. If I owned a second house, I would love to make some money on it. I don't. I live right next door. I have 3 young girls, and we play in the backyard, and we do see people, hardworking people, coming in and out of that house, and I do respect that. But it is real. We don't know if there's sex offenders living there. And we'd like to know a little bit more about the laws in Norfolk about sex offenders. living directly across from the middle school. And if you're not knowing who lives directly across from a middle school and they might be a sex offender, that might be a concern of yours. It is of mine.
And just so you know, we live right next door to 25. We're
Yes.
27.
Yep.
With all due respect.
Mr.
And
Chairman.
I would love to make maybe tens of thousands of dollars renting my house for the summer games. And I would like to know more about that. I mean, if we're all in this together, let's all make some money, not just them.
Thank you.
So I would like to know what the rules are, so we can all play by them, including my neighbors.
Okay.
Let's figure this out.
That's what we're here for tonight, Jason. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Great.
I do have one question. You said that you've entered into a contract for your, I guess, your boarders or your renters from the federal government? They're renters from the federal government? Or did
No, I don't
misread
have, I'm the one who rent.
Okay.
She had
So,
short-term renters who were feds that she
Mr.
housed.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
The person who just said that I do not live there, I invited 2 of these girls to my girl's birthday party, and it was at the house. So this is complicated to say. It's like he said, she said, and something.
I hear what you're saying.
We have to hear.
We just have to hear everybody.
Where's your car registered, ma'am?
Norfolk.
It's registered at that address?
Norfolk.
Pay excise
How about your
tax in
license,
Norfolk.
your license and everything? Your license is at
Yeah,
that
I did not updated my license yet because I just turned U.S. citizen.
Okay.
So I'm going to.
Where's your license now? Where's your driver's license right now?
I'm going to remain with. I'm going to rest with my memo.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because if I speak up, it's going to be on the record.
No, I hear
I'm
you.
not going to say
you have the right to-
25 King Street is already targeted,
Right.
so it's enough.
Can we ask how many occupants are listed in the advertisement? You usually put a range?
Yeah, occupant load.
To be honest with you, I don't believe that's our purview.
I'm only asking because of the definition around lodging house talks about 4
So it would be this
Four
way.
occupants, and so-
To make it right, if it's a 3-bedroom, then you're allowed 4 occupants, right? 3 bedrooms and 2 people in the master. And that's how a house is, occupancy is usually determined. Is it a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom?
4-bedroom.
4-bedroom, so 5 people would be.
But to meet the lodging house definition, it'd have to be 4 renters or less. And that's the only reason why I'm asking how it is advertised, because it makes a difference in terms of use classification.
And it's just for renters or 4 rooms for rent, and then she has to occupy one of these rooms in that house.
I'm just asking how many bodies are, how many, because on
Has to. and I
on
think she-
most of the
Occupied.
platforms,
Okay.
yeah, on most of the platforms, you have to say how many people are the maximum number of people.
Well, we can find that out by,
We can just look at that.
look at that, so.
So it's 4 bedrooms with a 4-bedroom septic system?
Correct.
Thank you.
Laura, do you have anything else you'd like to add or subtract or anything else?
No, I would like to rest on my memo because I have everything
Okay.
written, and I think it's pretty clear to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and doing the process. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
You will be adhered to, or told, but right now, it sounds like we're going to continue until March 18th.
So I would like to object to that unless we have a status quo agreement, meaning that I can continue doing whatever I'm doing until we have the continuance.
At this point, I'm going to say the cease and desist is in action, and it's enforced at this point until we can close this out. Right now, we're going to continue it till March 18th so that we can do our due diligence, so we can give you the best outcome that is right for the town of Norfolk. So I don't know that at this point, but we have to do some more legwork and more due diligence in order to do that.
Yeah, just for the
The
record.
fines will continue.
Yeah. And so if you do it, there would be fines. If you don't, it's status quo, and you've ceased as far as we're concerned. So,
Until the matter here is resolved.
right. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Before we, can I just ask Rich a question? Rich, was there an opinion? I thought there was an opinion from town council on this. Maybe I'm wrong.
There is.
Yeah.
Can we get that into the record somehow?
No. I don't believe we can at this point.
So it's not in the record?
It's not in the record. We can't refer to it.
Why can't?
What?
It says it's not in the record. That's what I'm trying to...
I don't think it's in the record unless we put it into the record. Are we allowed
Put it into
to?
the record. The letter has been provided to her.
Put it in the record.
Let's put it in the record.
That's what I'm suggesting.
Do you have it, the letter that we received?
Rich, which letter are you referring to?
The one from council that we got.
The one, I
They
think.
emailed everybody?
Yeah.
All the board members?
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
You didn't get the email?
I thought,
I don't have it in front of me.
I think it's in an email.
Yes.
He emailed it.
No, I read it.
Do you have it? Can you put it up?
Yeah. I mean, it's in,
No, I've read it.
Yeah.
I just wanted,
To be in the record.
yes.
yeah.
We don't need it put up.
You don't need to put it up, okay.
No.
There is a letter from town council that we're gonna put it into the record.
Dated January 29th, 2026,
All right, what else?
from Harrington Heap, signed Anthony J. Riley.
Thank you.
Can the public ask a question?
Yes.
Of course you can.
You can still ask. Go
When
ahead.
could we expect to know whether we can rent short-term rentals before the World Cup?
You're gonna have
great
to,
question.
you're gonna have to wait for a decision to be made on this case, which we would probably have a decision by the next meeting.
When is the World Cup?
The next meeting is March 18th.
Correct. So we would have a decision, we'll have a decision by March 18th.
We'll have a
You
decision
understand
on,
that, you all understand, obviously, that, these kinds of things are kind of have a
Yes.
Just to clarify a little bit, I think even if we make a decision, it may not be determinative of exactly what you're at, just because the facts could be different.
Correct.
We don't have time between now and, World Cup to clarify or make a zoning change.
we can't change laws either.
Has to be
By then, so I'm just cautioning you. I appreciate what you're saying, but just saying, depending on how our decision's drafted, it may not specifically address your issue. I don't know.
Whatever
It may.
we decide is going to set precedence in the town of Norfolk, whether it's an acceptance
Can I
or
ask
not.
another question?
Sure.
How would you plan to treat everybody equally in this situation across the board? And how do you filter out who's going to get caught and who's not?
So we do know that there are softwares out there that actually do that for a town or a municipality, that we can charge those that are using it in order to be a part of it. And that, so in reality, the units or the houses that are being rented are paying for the software.
It's gonna be
So
this
that
year in
we're being able to monitor it live without actually having to have Dave or somebody else on his staff monitoring it
Correct.
live.
They use
So
it.
They use it all the time.
Yeah, we use it in Newport
Yeah.
tremendously because there's an immense amount of
I
them.
don't think we even have enough time to procure that.
I don't even know, I don't know,
Doesn't
but
matter.
I would
Let's make
venture to
this
say that that's the route.
a future
If
tool.
it's accepted, that's the route that the town would have to take.
This is unenforceable in our present situation for the World Cup.
Well, that's
Yeah, we're not worried
kind of
about
my basis of the
I'm not worried
question.
about
Like,
World Cup, I'm worried about the rest of
if
it.
you're gonna look at one individual and not others, and not really kind of look into this, and we don't have the resources in the town to really kind of fight it, What is the actual plan?
That's a great question. When I read this appeal, the first thing that came to my mind is it's somewhat of a gray area. I thought of the World Cup just like you did for a lot of other reasons too, and clearly, even before all this discussion tonight, I was saying we got to address this through the bylaw so there's clarity and fairness. Now, I understand the June dates for and advertising and all this, so that I'm not sure you're going to get clarity out of us. I don't know.
June will be too soon for a decision to be rendered and out of the appeal period by us. June is too soon to procure. It's basically, it's more or less we're in a situation that if people experience nuisance and weird stuff, they're going to need to call the police for that particular weekend. But long-term, there is an ability to develop policy, do general bylaws, license them if you want, or do it under zoning. There's two ways to skin the cat.
There's plenty of regulations.
Yeah.
It wouldn't get in the bylaw.
But right now,
Oh, we're off track. So
Yeah.
right now, what our goal is to render a decision
In this case.
by March 18th, and thereabouts on that. That's what this decision will be for. So we're continuing tonight until March, and we'll see what transpires in between there, and then we'll have a decision that's rendered on March 18th or thereabouts.
Now, there's no prohibition about you drafting a bylaw and trying to get it through, but you're not going to I don't think you have the timeline to get it through for the May town meeting. I mean, you can draft it yourself and pursue it.
it's the warrant.
Though I don't know if
That's
the
how
warrant's
most of them
closed.
happen.
I have no idea.
I would definitely do it as a general, then do it for licensing.
So
It's just
it's
like
not
you
really
can go
us,
quick and
you know,
dirty.
it's right in your
but-
hands there to do.
Rich and Dave are getting questions, you're getting questions, right, Dave, Rich? They're getting questions about residents asking about this. What are you telling the residents that call into the town already?
Or what are you telling
As of right now, it's not allowed.
Right.
Correct.
And then this case is going to hinge on how we move forward.
How's that accepted when you say that? Has anybody?
People are fine, they don't have.
I'm just asking.
How would anybody
Yeah, no.
know if I privately did it and rented it to a soccer player? Like, let's say I'm buds with the craft group and I'm like, yo, got a house. I'm going to go to my house in Maine, have a blast. Like, how would anybody know?
Yeah, 100 cars show up.
I mean, it could be a party,
At my
though.
house, though.
They could be my cousins.
When you register on the state, you have to maintain $1 million policy.
Who said I'm telling the state? Though if you register on Airbnb or VRBO, that policy comes with, that's part of what you're paying them for.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll make the
thank you
motion.
all. Anybody have any other questions? You do.
Thank you so much. Two questions. This is the house that's in question here, and it says that it sleeps 12, right?
Yeah.
So if there's only 4 bedrooms, how are we sleeping 12 people in a bedroom, in this small house?
It's a basement photo.
What's that? I'm sorry?
Yeah, it is.
That is a basement
That's a
photo.
But she said they don't sleep in the
6
basement.
beds?
And they said the
She said they
basement
don't use
wasn't
the
finished,
basement.
if I'm not.
No, she said the basement was locked.
Yeah, this is.
I thought it was 4 bedrooms.
It says
is
4
4
bedrooms, 6
Oh, it
beds.
says 4? Oh, 6 beds, okay.
And then I think that we're kind of off the track a little bit as well, too. This home is not just concerned about the World Cup. This is a house that she's going to continue to rent and rent and rent and rent and rent. This is not just about the World Cup.
We understand.
So-
Which I think is
Yeah,
important.
concerts,
We're
football
getting
games,
kind of off
events.
that a little bit,
We'll
but
need to talk to Board of Health regarding the 12.
Sure. Anyway, thank you. Appreciate
I was
that.
kind of surprised to see that, I'm sorry, it's that it sleeps 12, that she's advertising that it sleeps 12 people.
12 guests.
How many
12 guests, 6
With the
beds.
cars that are in there, yeah, I understand that, yeah.
All right.
Thank you, sorry.
All right. Thank you.
Straight from the school.
All right, without,
Right, can I make a motion?
Excuse me, I have one more question,
yes.
please.
Go ahead, Catherine.
It's Kate Pounder again, hi, at 27 King. Could somebody please speak to my concern about sex offenders and how they register in the town in proximity to a public school?
At this moment, no, but that's one of the things we're going to have to research between now and March 18th. We don't know.
They're not supposed to live near a school, and and if they're level 2.
They're actually
They're
supposed to do.
register with the
They're
town.
supposed to register.
Level 2 sex offender or higher has to register with the town, whether they work in the town or they live in the town,
Right.
and they can't be within miles of a
If
school.
you're here working and you float in here for 3 weeks, are you
Yeah.
going to run downtown and register?
I know, I mean.
Nobody's going to vet
Generally
them.
speaking,
Nobody's
sex
vetting them.
offenders are priced
residents
out
have
of
problems,
Airbnb.
they're
Not usually,
They're
they're not
limited.
usually
They do
registered.
The SROs.
I make it
or
my
their
business,
parents' house.
I have children too. Every town where we've lived in, I've taken a visit down to the police station, and they do have a board where they have them posted and register, and it indicates whether they work or they live in the town, and it even includes the address. So you may want to make it worth your while there, because I
Yeah.
Yeah,
have
of
kids.
course I know this, but my concern is exactly what we've already talked about. I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I want to be very clear about this. That King Philip Regional Middle School is, I don't know, 500
Yeah,
feet.
it's right down-
If I'm being
correct.
generous.
Right there. It's
across
Not
the
even
street.
Yep.
from number 25.
Yep.
And my concern is, despite what the owner said earlier today, there are it's far exceeding 7 to 8 renters per calendar year, and license plates from different states often. So of course, I doubt anybody's coming in for 3 days, 30 days, whatever, and going to register with the town. They're not doing that. Of course they're not. But this is just a point I'm trying to make, is how worrisome this should be for our entire community.
Yes, I understand.
agree.
And as I said before, that's why we're continuing this till March 18th. That's one of the reasons. We want to find out what protocols need to be in place.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. If there's no other questions,
No other questions, we're going to
Make a motion?
make a motion to
I'll make a motion that we move,
continue this to March 18th.
I'm going to make a motion to continue the hearing for 25 King Street to March 18th at 2026 at 7:15 PM.
Second, I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye. Roll call.
I, Joe Sebastiano.
Chris Metcalf, aye.
David Axberg, aye.
Tim Martin, aye.
Josephine Kordahay, aye.
All right, well, thank you all. We can't hear anything else tonight because we're continuing it to next month, so come back again if you want. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Does everybody know Dave?
Yep.
Yes.
Everybody's met
Yep,
Dave?
we've met Dave.
Yep.
Yep, we need
Dave came and did an inspection.
Are you the new?
Yeah, Dave came to meet us.
New
He's
town
the building
inspector.
commissioner.
Michelle,
Building
nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Just
Thank you.
making sure. Thank you.
Thanks for
Very
coming out,
much.
Dave.
Thank you.
What I gave to them as well? So I can, I'll
Oh, he
print
did.
that out.
He took it in September. He's been
Yeah.
the building commissioner since September. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, we actually had the state meeting today at the fire station. The state.
We lose
it was,
Rich?
I don't know, probably 30 local town inspectors there.
Did we lose Rich?
It was nice to utilize.
Nice.
He's actually gotten it for us. I think that's the third time.
Nice.
It's a very good use of the room, I will say. It's a nice room, too. It's a very nice.
Was that yesterday or today?
Today.
That's
Yeah,
great.
it was this morning. Yeah, you couldn't find a parking spot.
I'm sure.
Because the lot next to Duncan's wasn't plowed. All right.
I see Rich has left us.
Yeah, it's gone.
They have
All right,
minutes?
we close.
We already did it.
Okay.
I think we're all done.
See, that's why I can't get anywhere on time. I
We're
know
all done.
that.
Oh, good.
You want to take a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I make a motion that we close the hearing for February 18th at 8:15 PM.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye. Roll call.
Joe Sebastiano, aye.
David Axberg, aye.
Metcalf, aye.
Tim Martin, aye.
Josephine Kordahay, aye.
Thank you all. Meeting's closed.
Thank you.